What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Friday, November 11th, 2022. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. I appreciate you all. Happy Friday, 11/11. I'm sure Instagram will have a field day with these, with memes, meme astrology. There's going to be a lot floating around out there. Probably some, honestly, with Venus here in Scorpio in detriment, and then trining to Jupiter and Neptune in Pisces, and Jupiter 12 days away from going direct, but also, retrograde still. It has like a layer of toxic positivity, I'll be honest. And trust me, I love being positive, but I don't know. It has that like energy kind of built into it, not gonna lie. But let's look at the horoscope for 11/11. We are done with the Saturn-Sun square. That's separating now, which I think can definitely be a sigh of relief in our lives. Gosh, Sun square Saturn's hard. It definitely makes us get tested and have to hold a high level of integrity and persistence and discipline. So we're in a time where we're still having to uphold a level of discipline in our lives and stay committed to the right connections and the right sort of energy that's moving forward. We do have the Moon and Mars meeting today in Gemini, but it's interesting too, with Venus at 24, it's also sextiling over to Pluto. That's building up. So we are getting a yod to this Moon Mars from Venus and Pluto in Gemini. So there's definitely a good level of focus pertaining to these Venus qualities, but it's in Scorpio. So Venus in Scorpio wants to hold on to something till lifetimes, right? It doesn't want to let go. If it loves it, if it feels good, it's forever. And Pluto's definitely here in Capricorn going direct, saying that's not going to work. Things have to be renewed. So it's almost like we're renewing our lease on different aspects of what makes us feel good. Saturn square the Sun that we just had, that kind of shows up in another way too, of, connection, disconnection over certain aspects that we can get way too overly committed to emotionally, and having to take a step back mentally and see things objectively, right? So there is a renewing on the lease of things in our life, but I think it's more dealing with our action, dealing with our thought, dealing with our emotions, being able to pivot, being able to be adaptable. Gemini is very adaptable, and it's the focal point of this yod. Anytime we're transmuting our thoughts positively right now, and I know I brought up toxic positivity earlier, but there's a level of sharpness to Gemini, and of course the Sun square Saturn and Pluto in the mix. There is this sharpness that's not just so fluffy, but it's really taking a higher level of accountability for what pivots and changes can be better, and being very mutable. And this Venus doesn't necessarily want to do that here in Scorpio, especially when it's trine the midpoint of Jupiter Neptune. We could definitely want to escape fully into fantasy or, some kind of relationship energy that's just going to feel like savior energy. It is beautiful. It has a lot of good qualities to it, don't get me wrong. But we're also seeing Mercury at 21 coming to 22 by the end of the day, making its trine over to Neptune. And, we can definitely trick ourselves into thinking something's great when the writing has been on the wall, and yesterday showed us, and today might show us the truth of the matter. So I think it's being very open emotionally, and with the way that you're moving through life right now, in a way that is, at least being honest. It's not a good time for lying. It's not a good time for thinking that you can just kind of push things away. Just be really honest and real about what needs to happen to get a good change, and know that you have so much protection and support in the pivot, in the adaptation for whatever it is in your life. So I think it's being able to feel, very emotionally powerful, but it can definitely be like, oh gosh, like emotionally restless at the same time, or a very overactive mind because of all these maybe daydreams, and visioning. But yeah, I would say too, it's very psychic energy, especially Mercury, Neptune. Like we can see things clearly, but it's deciphering and discerning that is so important, and having a keen eye to what the truth is and how relevant that is to your life. So it's definitely interesting. It's an interesting day for 11/11. And I think that Venus trine Neptune, Neptune's like the higher octave of Venus, and Jupiter's the greater benefic, Venus is the lesser benefic. I mean, damn. Like it has positive influence for sure with a trine, but there's also like the just too much good stuff, or not putting in enough effort. Like it could be really lazy and stagnant for holding on to a belief or an envisionment of some outcome, or putting, that somebody else has to kind of come in and save the day. I've said that a million times at this point, but it is like sort of this checkpoint, because Venus disposits the North Node, and it's in Taurus, and it's Earth, and Pluto's finishing in Capricorn in Earth, and Venus is starting to make that sextile over there, and we do get a little yod. I do think that, we have to be grounded right now, and we have to be nurturing what we're passionate about. So, I think it's a big, question on, are you nurturing and growing and continuing to build the substance in your life with the truth that's presented, being able to pivot, trying to stay out of anxiety moments, because that moon also here is going to square Neptune, square Jupiter before it leaves Gemini today. And that's a lot. With the quincunx over to Pluto, and being in a yod with Venus and Pluto, and being with Mars, it's not like a super comfortable day, especially when it revolves around information, and especially Gemini here, dealing with a lot of the stuff in your immediate life, your environment, what's close around, and being able to deliver messages, feeling stuck. There can definitely be a level of feeling stuck, like there's no way out. But I think that Saturn here is one positive in Aquarius, is that it's definitely always trying to show you that if you stay persistent, there's always a way. Aquarius is always going to find the right equation, to get through and to go forward. So I think that is a very positive, aspect, but these squares are definitely hypersensitive, and Jupiter's kind of inflating so many things, especially with the moon and Venus, with a square and even a trine here. Like the moon and Venus want to feel very comfortable. They want to feel good. It wants good stuff. This is Taurus, Libra, Cancer energy here. It's people that make us feel good. It's the physical substance of feeling good. It's feeling good just within ourselves. It's our emotions and our comforts in life. And, I think that there is an amplification on that change is necessary to find comfort, because it's like staying in the same situation and just thinking that being stubborn in that is going to, pay off. It probably won't, unless you're actually, watering your garden. I think that's very important too. Like, keep nurturing the confidence to build something, to have something. I don't know if we'll ever find stability, but it's like a constant pursuit of it, right? And stability might just be within ourselves, which is very Taurus in general. Like, of course, it can be physical securities, but, on a deeper spiritual level, it really is just feeling secure within yourself. So we're having to let go of things, stop watering certain parts of the garden because they're not, yielding positive results in our life or positive investments, and being able to see the truth in that so that we can water the parts that are really growing and stay persistent and dedicated, and keep envisioning how the parts that are growing are going to finish and what that can bring into our lives. But it's not, it's definitely another sensitive day. We're not completely out of the woodworks yet. I do think that, you're going to see a lot of 11/11 stuff that are, overly positive. And I don't want to knock that. I love positivity, don't get me wrong. But I also have a good, feel on the collective right now, in my opinion, of course. And there's not a lot of that going on right now. There's way more anxiety going on in the collective right now. There's way more, feeling like we're stuck and can't, get to what we want. And, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it is that positive energy that will, really kick people in the butt instead of the negative. But definitely expect to see like the memes go crazy. And then that moon will finish off the day in Cancer, where it is dignified. And, I think we do get a moment here where, wow, lots of water in the chart with Venus, Mercury, the Sun, the South Node, Neptune, Jupiter, and then the moon coming into Cancer, where feelings are going to be high. It's going to be very interesting. It's almost like we get a really big checkup on if we have, sort of our emotions in check or not, and just a big check on if we feel secure and comfortable within ourselves, enough to transmute energy, to change things, but to also envision something into the future, but envision, the positives of the here and now without getting too hung up on the negatives. Definitely can, bring up, I feel like, well, I was here 3 years ago and now I'm here and I'm not where I thought I would be. Like, I feel like there's a nostalgia that can come up, but it's a nostalgia that can definitely, with these transits, make you think that you're not enough or you haven't done enough. And these are traps. These are emotional traps that we got to be aware of, especially with the South Node in Scorpio. Like, you don't want to fall into that pit. You're rising up out of the pit because you're building substance and, physical security within yourself, which is really, very mental, which I do think today has a very mental aspect too, but it's really like knowing you're good and you've come to this point for a reason. Everything happens for a reason and it's all very synchronistic. You were never meant to be where you maybe envisioned you were going to be right now, or maybe you were, but this is definitely a time to just feel good throughout, which it's not easy to feel good right now because of anxiety, because our mind's rampant right now and getting a big identification check and a big, it's almost like our brain's getting sliced in half with a Mars retrograde here in Gemini. And, one half of it thought a certain way, and those thoughts are having to change. There has to be a new way to understand life. So it's not super comfortable. But it is with the yod today and the aspects, I just feel like, the adaptation is everything. And if you're willing and able to adapt, you'll be just fine. It's the stagnant, staying in situations, putting on rose-colored glasses that are, you're going to see disillusionment eventually from those things. Maybe don't play into them today, and you might have a better understanding of what's true. And I don't know, hopefully a good Friday. Where's the Game of Thrones deck? Why not? What cards will we get from the Game of Thrones deck? I don't know. Oh my God, the Queen of Swords. Definitely time to pay attention to the facts, to the truth, and to rise above all that does show up. And, there is a coldness to this card, and I definitely think that it's saying, what needs to be done. Don't play games with yourself. Don't trick yourself. Don't throw yourself illusions. Rise above the struggles, rise above the tensions, and start doing something in the physical, because your mental is seeing the objectivity from a much higher place. The Hierophant. Beliefs are important. I think it's a good time to really find that stabilizing force of believing in yourself, of believing that change is okay, that holding on to certain aspects of life are not going to work. We all have to transform right now in Scorpio season. And, a big, solid, stable foundation of faith is absolutely going to help. But that faith comes within you. You got to have faith in yourself as well. It can't just be faith outside of self. It's got to be faith within yourself to rise above. And the Emperor. Wow. Well, I do hope that everybody watching this video finds that Emperor energy to find that strong, stable place within themselves, to delegate a life that they want, to be able to pivot, to change, to adapt, and to really, grow and nurture the parts of life that you can see clearly are benefiting you, and to stop playing into the stuff in life that is not benefiting you. It's just gonna be a disillusionment if you stay in that situation and everything is okay. Positive action in your life actually does make changes. Positive thoughts, positive beliefs, these make changes, but just the idea that if you just envision something that it's going to magically appear is silly. This is definitely a take action for change and find stability in that. I love you all very much. I hope you have a beautiful Friday. I'll see you all for the weekend forecast tomorrow. Much love. Peace.